All right. Okay. Happy Monday, you guys. We are 3 weeks left of this 8 week fat loss phase, not 10 week. You guys are like, what? 10 weeks. So I was just talking to Sarah before we got on, and we were talking about how difficult family life can be sometimes and how stressful it can be. And I love that you were like, you know what? I still made progress, and this
Yeah.
sounds like it's my new normal, and I can't use that as an excuse anymore to say I can't work on myself So yeah, do you want to? You don't have to share the details, but I just thought that was a great observation of like this.
Yeah, I just so I our youngest, I'm going to be homeschooling her now for the rest of the year or online school, but she'll be at home. And the first couple days I was like, I don't have the space to like track this stuff. And then I was like, but wait, if I let it go now, I've actually made really good progress. I have felt really good. And I can either add to the bad feelings by slipping back into bad habits and not feeling physically good, or I can support myself through this the best way that I can, which is by feeding myself well, drinking enough water, trying to still get to sleep at a normal time at night. And I'm really glad I stayed the course. I did all four of my workouts like I promised myself I would on the day they were scheduled. And even though there were some days where I was like, I almost cried at the gym when I was like doing a plank one day, and I was like, that's okay. You know what? Nobody's looking at me anyway. So if I cry, it's fine, but at least I'm here getting my workout done. And I was really glad each time that I did it. And at the end of the week, I felt like will always be parts of your life that are kind of falling apart, but like I'm controlling the things that I can because I have control over what I put in my mouth. And like I went to the hockey started back. It was the home opener, which is like my fun thing. And I was like, I'm not really going to eat arena food this season, because it doesn't really ever make me feel good. There's like one place that does like Mexican bowls, but still. But then I got there and I had to get there early to get my season tickets. And I was like, oh, I'm actually really hungry. And so I got chicken strips and a Diet Coke. And I was so gassy. I was like, oh, that wasn't worth it. I will stay the course next time and just bring my water and eat before I go.
No,
Um,
I think that's
but
great. I think, identifying what that letting go of the things that make you feel good for the long term actually is doesn't serve you. It's like choosing a lot of times I see, and I do it with myself as well. It's like choosing the easier thing now for the harder thing later,
right.
And then when
So I was like, I'll be really sad if like the almost like because I was even on my cycle, and like so that didn't help with the bloating feeling at the arena, I'm sure. But I was like, that was my untracked meal for the week. I don't want to spend my untracked meal on shitty chicken strips. Like, what am I doing? Like all
yeah.
my other untracked meals have been really good food that are just harder to track, that I was mindful of my hunger cues, all that stuff. And I felt awesome about it. And I didn't have any negative feelings. And for that meal, I was like, what a disappointment. That was a dumb thing to spend my
Well,
untracked
and
meal on.
yeah, and those moments are really valuable too because it's just a good reminder. And I think we've talked about this before in when you're forming better habits and paying attention to either the rewards of the behavior or the consequences of the behavior. And then
Yeah.
you're less likely to either repeat the behavior or you're more likely to repeat the behavior, right? So, like when you had those untracked meals before and that was something that you intentionally planned for and you chose food that was really wonderful and filling and delicious, and that felt rewarding and worth it to you. And then when you chose the meal that wasn't, made you feel gross, I think it's just,
It was so sad.
yeah, I think it is like this fine line of not like beating yourself up about it, but also
Right.
just acknowledging that didn't feel rewarding to me. That
Yeah.
actually like was kind of a bummer. And I'm not, and then you kind of lock that in and less likely to do that again. So I think that's great. I also think especially with parenthood, just life in general. I feel like
Yeah.
as a whole, right now, it feels like there are a lot of things outside of
Hmm.
control.
Yes.
Like the world feels very topsy-turvy all over the place. And I think the thing that's made me personally feel a lot more centered and grounded is just paying attention to the things I actually have control over, which It's usually like my own choices. Like that's pretty much it. And I can't control everybody else. I can't control like what my kids are doing all the time. I can't control the world, but I can control like how I nourish myself and how I take care of myself. And I can do planks at the gym and let that stress leave my body. And that might just
Hmm.
be tears at the gym. And I think that that's worthwhile too, right? I think we've all had those workouts where we just cried. And it wasn't because it was hard. Maybe it was hard, but it was just like that stress leaving our body, which I like exercise is magical in so many ways. And I think that stress management is huge. So
Yeah,
yeah. Colleen, how are you doing? Starting week 7? No, six?
Yeah. Yeah. Are we? Yeah.
5?
that's
Yeah. This,
crazy.
yeah. We have 3 weeks left.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna get my little tablet here. I, okay. So last time I reported that I decided I was going to eat those Cheerios, remember? And I ate like
Yeah.
3 cups and I had a stomach ache. Well, so this week I I came home. It was, I don't remember what day it was. Maybe it was Saturday or probably Friday. I don't know which day. And I'm like, okay, I just got to have those Cheerios again. So this time I measured them out 1.5 cups and I measured my milk and I got my brown sugar sweetener that was not brown sugar. And it went okay, although I was kind of hungry the rest of the day because I don't think that I really started the day off with a good enough protein, but
Mm.
I was in control of what I ate. And I did want to pour a second bowl, but I told myself that I could not have the second bowl until after I showered. So then I forced myself to go upstairs, shower, and then by that time I was past it. I was like, okay, I'm fine. I don't need that. Um,
Which I think is a great strategy as well, because what was it in that there's this great book,
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm talking
I was
about?
just
Okay.
thinking about it. Yeah,
There's
the hunger habit.
yes, The Hunger Habit. This is a
yeah,
really, really good book. And it really is more of a book about just human behavior, right? And habit forming. And then, but he focuses on hunger and like our habits around hunger. But that was one of the things he talks about. The author is Judson Brewer. But he talks about how long a craving actually lasts. And wasn't it, it's like,
It's not that long. It's less than a minute.
it's
It
less
was
than a
like,
minute. Yeah.
or maybe it was like 80 seconds. It's not that long, but it's like if you can actually time it and ride the wave, you'll notice more and more how it's easier to get over it once, because it feels like you're gonna feel that way forever, that you're gonna want it forever. And then once you start timing to see like, okay, just wait for 1 minute, and usually it's gone.
Yeah, and I've thought about that a lot, and that's a strategy that we'll use sometimes is when you feel those cravings and you're like, okay, like I think it's 90 seconds. That was the longest
Yeah.
craving that they recorded.
And it
And
was like nicotine cessation. So it was like a really strong
yeah,
craving.
but
Yeah.
that if they like were able to kind of ride that out and not answer the call, then the desire for it dropped off. And so sometimes we're moving ourselves from the location of, wherever that temptation is really helpful, just distracting ourselves. I remember, and Lynette Hopkins,
yeah.
Colleen. I still remember taking a aerobics class from her like 15 years ago or something, and her trick was, and Sarah, I think I've talked about this before. Her trick is if you find yourself going to the fridge or the cabinet when you don't actually, and you stop and you're like, I'm not actually hungry, she would put her tennis shoes on and walk around the block. And she said, and by the time she got back, she was like, okay, she didn't need it anymore. It was just kind of like walking. And like, I think unbeknownst to her, she was like walking, like kind of riding out that craving that she didn't really need. It's like, what's the call I'm actually trying to answer here? You know?
Usually like restlessness of some kind. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
legitimately right now, Colleen, you probably are still a little hungry. Like you're probably in this phase where you eat a meal and you're hungrier faster than you would like to be because you are in a caloric deficit. So you are going to be a little bit more hungry and not as fully satisfied all the time, which is like not the way you want to be all the time in maintenance, but is the reality of it's actually proof that you are in a caloric deficit, which is kind of sucky, but it's like the tension that you feel. when you're lifting weights, like when you get to the end of a set and you feel like that really good tension and you know you're like, okay, this discomfort proves that it's working. And I think with calorie deficit, the discomfort of hunger, just that like bit of hunger throughout the day is proof that the calorie deficit is working. Like you want that tension. And if you're feeling perfectly comfortable, that's probably not a good sign. Which
Yeah.
is,
Well,
yeah,
but I pretty much did better than the week before on my averages,
great.
but my weight didn't change. But
Okay.
that's okay because I told myself it took a little while for all this weight to come on, the extra weight. Because let's face it, if I mean your weight's gonna go down a little bit if you want your pants to fit better. Anyway, so but my one pants did fit better this time, and I wasn't pulling on the waistband.
Well, that's a good sign. I
So
haven't looked at your check-in yet. Have your measurements been looking?
my measurements are still always about the same right
Okay.
now. I haven't seen, and I just give. I mean, you can clearly tell sometimes when you're like, oh, this really went down, or it's kind of about the same, and because I know that for me, I'm probably not the most accurate measurer. And
It
I
can be
just tell
hard.
myself that's okay because you just, I just want to keep plodding through.
Well, and
And
for you, maybe like even if maybe I'm not the most accurate measurer, because that's going to be hard. It's going to be like incremental, like maybe a quarter of an inch that can be
yes,
mismeasured pretty easily. But for you, just the fact that you were saying like these pants are fitting a little bit better, you can kind of tell like you're feeling like a little bit leaner, and you can, like we all know our bodies pretty well. Like you can pinch your side and kind of feel like a little less squishy or whatever it is, or those are some good
yeah,
signs too to know that. So when we get those little stalls in the weight, which happen, like that just happens. Usually, you get a little stall and then we get another little whoosh.
yeah,
So hopefully the whoosh is coming.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But if it isn't, then if it isn't for another week or so, that's okay too, because I just, I mean, like the one day when my weight was kind of up, and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that number for a while. And then I thought, hmm. I'm like, all right, well, you're just gonna track your stuff because you told yourself you were tracking it. But I have difficulty this week also with Sarah with not necessarily wanting to do my strength training. And I just kept telling myself, okay, let's just do one set. And after that set,
Yeah.
if you choose to finish and you want to be done, then just be done. But then I'd be like, oh, I think I could do one, like the next exercise in the thing. And so I gave myself some outs, and it was okay. So I made it to the end. But
Yeah. And sometimes they're not always going to be like, this over the top exciting workout, but I can't think of a workout I've ever shown up for that I've regretted showing up for. Like
yeah,
I
you're happy when you're done and it's off your mental to-do list for the
Yeah,
day.
yeah. And then there's that, carryover effect because you're like get those
Mhm.
good feel good feelings. And
Yeah,
I posted about this recently, but it's like show up and the good feels follow. I feel this all the time at any social event I have to go to. I do not
hmm
want to go, never want to go. But then I show up and I'm happy that I'm there.
Yeah.
And I think the gym is that I don't have that feeling as much for the gym because it's actually like this. I'm like a loner by heart, and so it's like this like nice place I can just kind of like do my own thing. But still, we get that. It's like, oh, show up and the good feels will follow, and I never regret going. Usually, never regret going to a social event. And so
I
it's
think
like,
I was also motivated because like everybody in my family has gone through like been sick at least once. And I'm like, okay, my time is coming soon and I will have to miss some days. So while I'm healthy, I want to be there. And I'm like, also feel like probably part of the reason why I end up not getting sick as much is because I am like eating well and drinking a lot of
Mhm.
water and going to the gym and getting my steps and doing all the things.
Yeah, I have, and that's the other benefit of just good health as well. I mean, I've noticed that since in the last 5 or 6 years, both me and my husband are a lot less sick
hmm
because we just eat better and we exercise more than we ever have, and we're just,
And if I do get sick, it's usually a doozy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm
I
like, oh,
mean
there's no question, I am sick.
but again, it's just like those little investments. It's the invisible work, right? Like that we have to
Yeah.
do sometimes, like those benefits. And as much as we always want the outward, the aesthetics, sometimes it just takes a little bit to get there. So yeah. Yeah, and Colleen, you mentioned like there were some days that or was the other day that you were feeling a little hungrier because maybe you weren't quite up to speed with your protein for that day, which I thought is an interesting observation too, right?
Yeah. Well, there's some days normally I always eat, my either my breakfast or my lunch for breakfast. And they both are very high protein. And the day that I had the Cheerios, it just didn't stick or it just, and then I was kind of felt like I was searching the whole day. But I didn't want to take the time to make the breakfast because it was, I was hungry and I was like, oh, I gotta, and it's not like the other breakfast really took that much longer to make, but
Yeah. Yeah,
but
which
I
is I
wanted
think
to,
that's a really good point too, because it's like that going, it's like showing up, right? Like showing up for the workout, getting the reps in. Sometimes making a breakfast feels like getting the reps in and showing up for the workout, right? But then if you just took like the 10 extra minutes to make the
yes,
breakfast, you wouldn't have been hunting around all day feeling sort of less than satisfied. Yesterday, we had general conference, and so it was like cinnamon rolls and fruit and nothing that was like super. There was not a lot of protein to be had. Like it was just a graze. And all day long, I just felt so peckish. I could just feel like at the end of the day, Eric goes, I feel like I just need some eggs. And it was like you could just feel like you're like constantly
hmm
pecking around but never feeling satisfied. And it's just such a good reminder why it's important to build like these nice satiating meals because you just feel satisfied. You feel happy and
yeah,
yeah.
we had our cinnamon roll for dessert for dinner last night. So during the day, I was like super good. And given that I did the cooking for Sunday dinner, I made things that were good food that were nutritious. And then we had that dessert of the cinnamon roll. And I ate the whole thing.
Well,
I
good.
logged it, and I'm guessing that probably the calories that my fitness pal had was probably totally inaccurate, and I don't care. I did put some calories in, and then I ate that cinnamon roll, and I didn't have two. I just had one, but
No, and that's
I
great.
did.
And I would say if just for everybody that's listening, like if you have to track, like make a best guess on something, err on the side of it being more. Like don't pick the choice that's going to give you the A grade. Like a cinnamon roll is going to be at least 500 calories, right? Like if not more. So like just deal with
Yeah.
it, own the choice, move on, but it's fine. I had a cinnamon roll yesterday too. But yeah, I think that that's great. And I think it's good to recognize just making sure that you're eating satiating meals. And then again, that carryover effect, you're just going to feel better throughout the day. There was something else I was going to say, and now I can't remember. But yeah, any other thoughts or observations for the week? Any other challenges? How are
I think so.
hunger levels feeling for both of you?
Honestly, I didn't like so after Saturday night was the game that I ate at the arena, and then I woke up and I don't know if it's the medication I'm doing now, but like I have not been super hungry. Like we went out and dug all the beds to plant. I got like 2,000 more bulbs to do
Oh,
for
wow.
this
For
fall planting.
tulips?
It was tulips and daffodils and crocuses and hyacinths.
Oh, fun.
And
Oh,
so like so we went out and dug and I got all those planted and I had told the kids I would take them to Blue Palm if they helped, which is the like frozen yogurt place. And we came inside and I was drinking some water and I was like, I'm kind of hungry. This was like 2:30 in the afternoon. And I was like, I have not eaten yet today. Like I'd had a cup of coffee in the morning. I have never forgotten to eat. So I don't know if like the medication is a little bit of an appetite suppressant,
I
but
I
it's
know
helping.
sometimes I know sometimes
Yeah.
anti-anxiety medication can have that effect on people, which isn't
Yeah.
necessarily the worst thing.
I was like, I'm not hating that because that I
Yeah.
had said to him specifically when we were trying to pick one that would be good for me. I was like, I don't want one that will make me gain weight. Like, I don't, if it has that as a side effect anywhere, that will be my side effect, and I don't want it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's great. I mean, it's
So I have been trying to be mindful. It does help definitely like when it's like I like to work out fasted. So it's nice because I used to be a person like I woke up and I had to eat within like the first half hour. I felt nauseous. And so that part is nice because I like to work out fasted. But I don't want to go till 2:30 in the afternoon without having eaten food. That's just stupid.
right. And it is hard to make up your protein in that time as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
So,
I totally didn't yesterday. Yeah.
no. Colleen, how are you feeling hunger wise?
Um, I do get hungry. Like sometimes at night, in the night, like when I wake up, I might be hungry then, and I just go back to sleep. But mainly, I feel like I try to plan three fairly dense meals that I can get the most bang for my buck. And so I feel okay. But the more problem that I have is there are certain days when I just want to feel like, like that day when I ate the Cheerios, or there's just sometimes when I'm like, I just want something. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and I can't, and it's not, I don't know if it's, I think it's more of an emotional type thing because I can't figure it out what it is that I necessarily want, because
Mm,
I have the built protein bar that has the chocolate, so it's not a chocolate thing. And I'm like, I don't really want the yogurt because I normally have the yogurt, but that doesn't sound good. So and I can't figure it out what it is that I really want because I've tried
yeah.
to
This isn't
figure it out.
scientifically backed. This is just my own personal observations. But typically, when I find myself sort of craving something, but I can't identify the craving, it's typically an emotional response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
You
the same
know?
way too. Yeah.
Um,
And
and then
sometimes
I
it's
would,
the opposite,
oh,
like when nothing sounds good, but you should be eating something. Usually that's also like if you're stressed out or
mm-hmm,
Mhm.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like when you can't identify the craving, it's typically not something, it's like it's the I had a client say sometimes I'll ask what call am I trying to respond to? And which I thought was an interesting way to think about cravings. And I think when you can't identify the food that you need at that moment, or it doesn't, or you're right, like Sarah, on the opposite side, if nothing sounds good, it's typically an emotional response. And then, usually when you are hungry, like legitimately hungry and you need food, it's like Eric saying last night, I think I need eggs.
Mhm. Yeah.
It was like, eggs aren't the most exciting food, but he could just tell that that was what his body was lacking was some extra protein, just something that was a little more satiating. And one of the things, Colleen, I remember what I was going to say really quick before we finish. With the bowl of Cheerios, I actually find that type of a snack to be really great at the end of the night. Because sometimes like a little bit of extra carbs, like if you're gonna like eat your bowl of Cheerios, if you're gonna like be a little bit more intentional about when you eat them, like it's not a bad thing to have a bowl of Cheerios. It's actually gonna be a nice little snack. But I always find that that's like a good one, like after, like a later night snack because it's fairly light, it's not too heavy. Sometimes those extra carbs can be really nice to help us sleep a little bit better at nighttime. So if you want to like be a little more intentional and strategic about where you decide to have a bowl of Cheerios, that could be your treat at the end of the night or something. I will often have like a little bowl of those strawberry protein Cheerios at the end of the night. It's just as like a little something and then
Mhm.
crunchy and sweet and then I go to bed and I'm happy. So so yeah, I mean you can still have Cheerios. It's just like have it when maybe it's going to suit you the best.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well, I will get to everyone's check-ins today. Thanks for being on the call and you guys are the tried and trues. I think everybody just counts on us recording so they can listen to it later. So I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
we're missing our other person. She must be
I know
overlooked
Jennifer must
upstairs.
be out today. We miss you, Jennifer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great week, and I'll be touching base with all of you soon. So, okay.
Okay. All
Bye.
right,
Bye.
thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.